Hey everyone, I also wanted to clarify the differences between internal and external validity because I know this can get confusing also. Clearly, the purpose of research is to offer an explanation of things. And so when we talk about internal validity, we're referring to the extent to which the explanation is judged to be correct or what we call sound. So one of the things we have to ask is, are there any interfering or extraneous factors that could explain the results? So, for example, let's say an experimenter observes an increase in the probability of salivating after presenting the smell of delicious food. So this may lead him or her to conclude that delicious smelling food produces salivation. But in order to accurately make this statement, we have to rule out any other conditions that may be responsible for salivation. I mean, maybe the food looked really great. So maybe it was more like the sight of the food that caused salivation. So we need to be able to control for those other factors. So threats to internal validity are things, what we call maturation, which is something that happens over time, or the effects of testing, which also happen over time. So, for example, in a study that's looking at childhood fears, you might find that relaxation training over several months decreases these fears. However, how can we be so sure? It might be that fears decrease due to the fact that now children are getting a little bit older instead of the treatment itself. So let's differentiate that from external validity. So external validity is, now that we have these findings, can we generalize these findings to similar situations? So for example, there was a study that found that at fine dining restaurants, so for example, Ruth Chris's Steakhouse, servers who introduced themselves by their name got higher tips, I think by 23%, than those that did not introduce themselves by name at 15%. So the conclusion was that, again, in the generalization here, is that servers who personalize service get better tips. It leads to greater customer satisfaction. So what are some of the threats to external validity? Some of these threats include small sample size and also what we call the reactive effects of testing. So, for example, any study that has a pretest. So let's say you are in a study related to nutrition. A pretest might ask you what you've been eating over the course of the past couple of days. This pretest alone may have reminded you that you need to eat healthier before you even started the study. So that, again, is a threat to external validity.